There are points in the show where it's like I'm watching Timothy Chalamet in a wig. Yeah, that was kind of weird. I don't know. He has long hair. Maybe it's not that weird. Okay, before before anything else happens, only 1 week between videos this time. So a little bit longer between reviews, but specifically videos, 1 week. I'm getting better. The Sex Lives of College Girls just wrapped up on HBO Max. It is a new show. It came out a few weeks ago. A lot of people telling me to watch it. A few friends of mine, and then the internet in general was saying it was really good. I was a little apprehensive because Mindy Kaling was behind the show, and some of her stuff I really like, and some of her stuff I just... Here's the thing with Mindy. I think she's a good idea person, and I think she's incredibly important to have so that you make sure whatever the show is, she wants it to have diversity. But when it comes to writing stuff, I just don't know if her style is that good. It doesn't equate to the quality of her ideas. The other thing, though, is Mindy Kaling is so successful at this point in her career, she doesn't need to write stuff anymore. Like, she can just have the ideas and then allow other writers to flourish and see how they handle telling a lot of the stories she comes up with. Aside from the first episode, which she did write, everything else in the show, not written by her. And I don't know, coincidentally, I thought the stuff that she didn't write was better. I'm just saying the episodes that she was not behind seemed like they were written a little bit better. Diving into the show, Sex Lives follows 4 girls in college. They all go to this very expensive fake university. All 4 of them are roommates. They become friends. And throughout the first season, each of the 4 girls go through various issues as they attempt to navigate their freshman year of college. It's very hard to watch this show and not make you miss college. I think that always happens in these shows because they never go to class. That's the thing with like any show or movie that seems to take place in school. It's like they're never in the school part because they know that's the they know that's the worst part. They know that the college class shit, that's the boring stuff. You want to see them like doing stuff and going to parties and having fun. So that's what the show mostly focuses on. Now, later on, I'll get into more specific spoilers, but I want to talk about some of the issues that the show does tackle, which I thought were handled really, really well. There are some sexual assault / sexual harassment storylines that they handle perfectly, I think. I mean, as someone who's never dealt with that, but has known people close to me who have, it seems like they handled it in about the most realistic way that they could, and I thought that was fantastic because this show, at the end of the day, I think is, comedy first, drama second. I don't really know. Maybe flip-flop. But anyway, there aren't a lot of comedies that are tackling this kind of stuff, and a lot of time what's great about comedy is that it does allow us to talk about difficult issues, and the difficult issues they handled really, really well. The 4 main actresses in this show are all fantastic, all perfectly cast in their roles. Once you find out that Kimberly in real life is Timothy Chalamet's brother, it's like really hard to not see his I mean, if Timothy Chalamet didn't have those like godlike jaw structure cheekbones, this would be even weirder because she does look almost exactly like him, which makes sense. They're related. I'm just saying that there are points in the show where it's like I'm watching Timothy Chalamet in a wig. Yeah, that was kind of weird. I don't know. He has long hair. Maybe it's not that weird. I think in shows like this with an ensemble cast, inevitably you're going to have favorite characters. Mine was Kimberly. Well, somewhere between Kimberly and Bella. I thought that they had probably 2 of the more developed storylines throughout this first season. I think the only character of the 4 that to me felt like she got a little bit less development is Whitney. Mainly because at the end of season 1, they tie up her storyline, and of the 4 girls, it's really the only one that they tie up. It's almost like they could have written her off the show. Like, they really did complete the end of what felt like the end of her arc, to be honest. And it's kind of weird just because the other 3 girls in the show, they still have plenty to dig into for season 2. And it felt like Whitney didn't get nearly as much. On that note, there are a couple more things I want to talk about with this show. The fact that they had a lot of writers. Sometimes that's good, but I think at times in this show, the writing felt a little uneven. There are at least 8 to 10 writers on the first season of this show, and a lot of the episodes are written by completely different people. And sometimes it's not noticeable, but other times it just feels like there's not a lot of cohesive character development, storytelling, writing, punchlines. There's a few moments in episode 9 that just feel like they wrote a joke and then didn't deliver a punchline, but then you get to episode 10 and it feels completely different quality, like way higher quality. Ideally, you don't want to be able to tell when somebody else is writing an episode versus who wrote the previous one, but at times in this show is really obvious. Gonna get into some spoilers here, but very light, well, I don't know, light spoilers. The last episode, the last scene of the last episode, Leighton tells Kimberly that she is gay. This is the first time Leighton has told anyone. And I really like the fact that the writers made it that moment happened with Kimberly and Leighton, because Leighton throughout the show, at least this first season, has had plenty of moments with the other two girls, Bella and Whitney. But she and Kimberly haven't really had any moments at all, mainly because they play up this fact that they're from two completely different backgrounds, rich versus poor. And I don't know if this is completely true, so stick with me. I didn't go back to double check, which maybe I should have. But it felt like a lot of the scenes in the common area of their dorm room, Leighton and Kimberly are never sitting next to each other. And Leighton sat next to Bella, she sat next to Whitney. And I don't know if this was on purpose. I'm going to just say that it was, but it created even more of a divide between those two characters. And so having them essentially end the season, I mean, there's one more scene, but whatever. But this was one of the most important scenes in the show. But having them in that scene together, I think was a really smart move, because now Leighton and Kimberly and the other girls, there's a lot more unification between their characters than there was previously. There's a little bit of divide. Now, I might make a separate video just on this, but there is an episode of this show, Parents Weekend, episode 6. That episode is one of the best episodes of television that I've seen in a long time. An immediate thought was the Chinese restaurant episode of Seinfeld, the episode of Breaking Bad where Jesse and Walt get stuck in the RV and have to come up with an idea to not get caught. The episode of Squid Game with the marbles, which I think is just going to become one of the most famous episodes of TV ever. But the Parents Weekend episode of this show is phenomenal. It is one of the best written, best conceptualized episodes of a TV show, specifically a comedy, that I think I have ever seen. It was an absolute joy to watch. I connected with all 4 characters in that episode of the show. That was one of the best character development moments that they had during this season. Going through the last few episodes, I could not get episode 6 out of my mind. That is an episode to look out for. If you haven't seen the show yet, if you have seen the show, let me know if you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. Luckily, Sex Lives of College Girls has been picked up for a second season. And look, all I'm going to say is that I've grown very attached to these characters. So please, HBO, don't pull a Netflix. You renewed them for a season 2. Let's make a season 2.